Alcaraz is about to school Djokovic right here if he uses the right tactic. Do you know what his play is? What's up team, Coach Joshua here from TennisTactics.com, and I'm breaking down a new and very specific tennis tactic each week. I'm an ex-college player turned coach, and I've created what I believe to be the world's best system for talking about tennis strategy and tactics. All of the plays I show you are part of my unique tennis tactics system, where I have cataloged and coded hundreds of tennis patterns and plays. And now I'm rolling out my system to help you win more matches. This week we're looking at tactic 11710. So let's draw it out. But first, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so I can bring you more tennis tactics. So we're looking at a serving tactic that is particularly effective against really fast players who cover the court well. Think about your personal Djokovic, someone who runs down any ball no matter how far away you hit from him. The play looks something like this. You are the server on the deuce side and you are going to aim to the outermost third of the service box. You're taking a first serve and the aggression level should be about a 7 or 8 out of 10. Now this is mostly a first serve play where we are using our serve as a forcing setup shot, so we're not going for aces. The goal here is to drag your speedy opponent into the doubles alley, to hit the return and hopefully force them to give you a weaker reply that lands a little shorter in the court. So if our serve does its job, our opponent may end up hitting a return that lands in front of the service line and a little on the ad side, but still kind of in the middle. For our next ball in this play, we're going to step into the court, place our feet on or inside the baseline, and hit ball 3 deep cross court. And that's the play. The idea is that your opponent will start moving this way and you hit this way. Now their speed works against them and their momentum carries them away from where you've hit the ball. Ball 3 is almost impossible for them to return. Rewatching our point against Djokovic, you can see Alcaraz did a really good job serving wide, and Djokovic's whole body is angled this way, ready to chase down a ball to the open court. Alcaraz hits behind him and the point is over. But watch how Alcaraz steps up to this ball and holds the racket back, holds the shoulders turned. He's broadcasting that he's going to hit this to the open court, and then at the last minute he whips it cross. So good. Now I realize these are some pretty specific zones of the court to hit into, and at higher levels this kind of precision is required. But if you're not feeling that level of precision, try this adjustment. Hit your serve in the wide half of the deuce service box. You want it to be a forcing serve, not an ace, but you don't want it to be too soft. It is a first serve after all. Now if your opponent hits their return short, as in if it lands in front of the service line, make sure you step your feet into the court. This is critical. Step in and drive the ball into this half of the court. That's it. That's the play. So let's look at the strategy behind this and why we might choose to run this tactic. First of all, this is a 1-2 punch pattern. So we're using our serve as a setup shot. The serve we hit is an attempt to force a weaker return, so we are hitting it harder. But we actually want our opponent to hit it. We're not going for aces. Remember, the serve is just the 1 in the 1-2 punch. This is a great option when our opponent is a really good returner and when we can't really disrupt him with our serve. In that case, simply hitting a serve harder is more likely to get an error out of us than them. We don't want to take on that risk, so we try to play it in a 1-2 punch pattern. So assuming we let them hit the return and we do force a weaker reply that lands in front of the service line, we need to make sure that our feet come on or inside the baseline to hit this third ball. If you're a righty, you'll likely be able to take this as a forehand. And that's good because it's usually our stronger shot. And swinging across our body like this lets us lean into it and really drive it deep cross court. Now, the main thing to note about this tactic is it's best used sparingly. Like I'm talking 1 in 4 opportunities. If you usually take ball 3 and drive it to the open court, you're training your opponent to run there as fast as possible. But if we surprise them by hitting behind them every so often, it's going to force them to wait longer to move, or they risk getting burned and you hitting an easy winner. This is a tactic designed to both win the point quickly and plant seeds of doubt in your opponent's mind about where you're going to play it in the future. So let's analyze how effective this play is compared to some other options. Keep in mind, we want to evaluate tactics in terms of how risky they are to execute and how much damage they can do to our opponent. Overall, I'd say this play has a low risk rating. From an execution standpoint, you can make these 2 shots fairly easily. Now you are being aggressive, so if you overhit this ball, you may make an error. That's the main risk. But for the love of tennis, don't miss wide. From a position standpoint, the worst thing that can happen is your opponent doesn't move, which means you're hitting the ball right back to them. But your ball is aimed deep here, so the rally will probably just continue, and you'll still be in either a neutral position or even an offensive position with you closer to the baseline and them further behind it. Now in terms of how much damage this can do to your opponent, this is a highly aggressive play. It's a 1-2 punch where we want to hit our opponent fast and hard. We're combining 2 of our bigger strengths, our serve and our forehand, to do the damage. Now even if ball 3 does come back, notice that our deep target here pushes our opponent both deep in the court and to the edge on the side, while we control the middle. Even if this does lead to a rally, we've done some damage here and put our opponent in a weaker position. Now, this play is especially useful when you're playing an opponent who likes to run down balls, you don't want to miss your opponent's return shot, and when you use it as a secondary play, a mix-up, when you normally hit to the open court but then you change it up and hit behind them. Again, you probably want to use this tactic maybe 1 in every 4 opportunities you have like this. Generally, you want to play it to the open court. Get your opponent on the run and cover that volley. Remember, tennis is a game of movement and risk management. Thinking through your tactics is a great way to take your game to the next level. Now that you understand this tennis tactic, the next step is to practice running on the court. Find a court, give it a try, and let me know how it goes in the comments. If you want to learn more tennis tactics, I'll be dropping a ton of free content here on YouTube. So go ahead, like this video, subscribe to my channel, maybe ring the bell. And if you want even more tennis tactics, head on over to my website, tennistactics.com, and sign up for my newsletter to stay in touch. Until then, hit your targets. We'll talk soon.